Six of Crows duology. I'd heard a lot about them, but are they really worth the hype? This video I'll be diving into the Six of Crows duology by Leigh Bardugo. The two books in the series are The Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. This series is based in the Grishaverse, and if you haven't heard of the Grishaverse, it is a world dreamt up by the author which combines both magic and science. Other books or series in the Grishaverse include the Shadow and Bone series and the Language of Thorns. A murder of crows, a kingdom of crooks. Now before we get started, I have done a few visual nods towards the series. See if you can spot them all. So, what do the following have in common? A convict, a sharpshooter, a runaway, a spy, a heartrender, and a thief. They are all misfit criminals, but what will it take for them to become legends? So the first book in the series is Six of Crows.
It would have been mine if it hadn't been for those meddling kids.
Kaz is a criminal prodigy. He is smart, evasive, and always on the lookout for the next payday. So, when someone offers him the chance to pull off a crazy heist in the impossible to breach ice court for riches he's never seen before, he is not put off. Oh no, not at all. He does know, however, to succeed he won't be able to do it alone. So he assembles a bunch of ragtag outcasts to help him on the adventure. These include Inez, Jesper, Nina, Wyhan and Matthias. They all have their own reasons for joining the heist, and not all of them come willingly, but the big questions are, can they trust each other, or are they only in it for themselves? Plus, will they survive and manage to pull off the biggest heist of all time? So what were some of the good parts of the book? First of all, the illustrations throughout the book. I really like it when they include details like this within books because you get a sort of insight into how the author imagined the world to be, and I really enjoy that. In addition, don't miss out on the information at the start of the book like I did. I started the book on audio and it actually would have been really helpful to have that at the start. In addition, I really liked Kaz and the heist crew. I thought they were really interesting characters. Talking about Kaz, the main male protagonist, he's not only feared, he's intelligent, plus he actually has a physical ailment from a previous encounter, and I think that really rounds the character out. I think I read in the back of the book that the author herself has a bit of mobility issues and included it as sort of a way of representation, I think. I just thought that was really brave of her to include that within the book. When I was reading this book, I actually wrote down that it felt a bit like a mixture between a pirate adventure, mostly on land, but also with an Ocean's 11 film. And that just sounds really appealing, doesn't it? There's actually a lot going on in this book. So you've got heists, you've got betrayals, you've got escapes, you've got role-playing, and many other things as well. It's a really interesting book, actually. The ending of this book gives a really good start to the second book as well. And here are some of the parts I didn't necessarily enjoy in the book. I did find it a little bit hard to concentrate on all the new names and words within the book. I started out on audio and I kept thinking, have I missed some important information, because I just couldn't quite take it all in. When I switched to the book, it felt a bit easier, so I could see it in front of my face, if that makes sense. I don't know if it makes any difference that I hadn't read the Shadow and Bone series and therefore encountered the Grishaverse beforehand. Here are some of my favourite quotes from Six of Crows. Kaz rolled his eyes. The easiest way to steal a man's wallet is to tell him you're going to steal his watch. You take his attention and direct it where you want it to go. I'm a businessman, he told her. No more, no less. You're a thief, Kaz. Isn't that what I just said? You couldn't train a falcon, then expect it not to hunt. Many boys will bring you flowers, but someday you'll meet a boy who will learn your favourite flower, your favourite song, your favourite sweet. And even if he is too poor to give you any of them, it won't matter, because he will have taken the time to know you as no one else does. Only that boy earns your heart. I will do a summary of each book, the star rating, and my overall thoughts of the series towards the end of the video. But in the meantime, let's move on to Crooked Kingdom, the second book in the Six of Crows duology.
It would have been mine if it hadn't been for those meddling kids.
This book is an immediate follow-on to the events of the Six of Crows. This is your friendly spoiler alert warning. If you have not read up to this point in the series, then some of the natural plot lines might be spoilers for you. One of Kaz's crew has been kidnapped, and unless they trade something that the crew have obtained, their rivals won't give them back. So revenge is on everyone's mind, and the city might be drawn into a war. So will Kaz and his crew be able to outsmart their foes, or will their fragile loyalties break and endanger them all? So what are some of the good points of the book? Again, don't forget the illustrations at the front of the book. I really love these details and how they help immerse you in the world. This book seems to centre more on the characters and their backstories, and some of those were actually really interesting. I was a big fan of Kaz and his tricks, his sleights of hand, etc. And it does make you wonder, he's not to be underestimated. There's a lot about this universe that I really like that the author has created, the magic, the world, and the characters. And I really liked the ending. So what were some of the parts I wasn't so keen on in the book? I just think overall this book wasn't quite as interesting as the other book, unfortunately. There were some sad parts in the book, but at those moments I felt like I didn't feel enough. And I can only put that down to how it was told, because it actually even included some of my favourite characters as well. I felt like the book could have been shorter. I'm not sure it needed to be as long as it is. And also one of my gripes is all the characters are meant to be around teenage age, and I had a hard time believing that they had superior skills to people who had more experience. Obviously that's not to say that can't happen in real life, but it did give me a bit of a hard time accepting everything else then in the storyline. Here are some of my favourite quotes from Crooked Kingdom. "You're the man who sits idly by, congratulating yourself on your decency, whilst the monster eats his fill. At least a monster has teeth and a spine. Better terrible truths than kind lies. If you couldn't beat the odds, you change the game. It's easier when you're younger, but so is everything. Children learn languages more easily, they learn mathematics more easily, and they're unafraid," said Wylan quietly. "It's other people who teach them their limits." So now we come to where I summarise the book and give my star rating. So the first book was Six of Crows. Six of Crows was kind of like a mix between a pirate adventure, mostly on land, and an Ocean's 11 film. So you have an impossible heist with a bunch of eclectic characters. There are betrayals, twists, loyalties are tested. Overall, I enjoyed Six of Crows and I rated it a 4.25 stars. The next book was Crooked Kingdom. In the aftermath of the events of Six of Crows. So the next book was Crooked Kingdom. In the aftermath of the events of Six of Crows, Kaz and his crew are out for revenge. They all have their part to play, but can they really outsmart their foes, or will they just be hunted down one by one? Overall, whilst I did like the book, I just didn't find it quite as interesting as the first book, unfortunately. Also, I felt like it was a bit long as well. Overall, I rated the book a 3.5 stars. In summary, if you want to read a YA fantasy book with magic, misfits, and some really interesting characters, then this series might be one for you. But if you have read the series already, why don't you tell me who your favourite character is, and why? Now, before we go, here are the nods to the duology. So, first of all, we have the Six of Crows, for obvious reasons. We have the dagger, as that is the favourite weapon of choice of one particular character. We have the pack of cards, because not only is there a casino mentioned in the series, but one of the characters likes a bit of a flutter. There is the boat, for there's some travel involved in the series. The treasure chest for the heist riches. The cane, as Kaz uses a cane. And the complete black outfit, as that is kind of Kaz's signature look. I don't know if you can see, but there are black boots. I've got black leggings. We have the black leather jacket, and most importantly, Kaz's black gloves, because he's quite renowned for them. If you have liked the video, please do let me know by liking and subscribing. It really does help out the channel a lot. And before we go, if you do like full book series reviews, I think you might like this video here.